What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. This is Dune Awakening Combat. They had a live stream today. I was unfortunate at work, so I couldn't react to it live. Do apologize, but this is the combat live stream. The game did get delayed. I'm pretty sure they talk about it in here. But basically, rundown. I think they just said they need more time, and that 3 weeks will help them polish it enough. And I think they announced that there will be like a larger open beta. It's not exactly open, but I think it's like more invites will be sent out for this closed beta, probably to test strain on the servers, but you know, in any case, other bugs that might pop up with more player count, whatever. But either way, this is mostly combat, which is fine because I don't want too much of the story part, you know, revealed. The combat part is, you know, kind of interesting to me because one, they did make Conan Exiles, and not my favorite in terms of MMOs. Like I just don't like the feel of Conan Exiles, but from what I've seen of Dune, it looks okay, but not great, but it is an MMO. So like I can't expect them to have like Souls-like, you know, fluid combat or Batman, but we'll see. So let's get into it. Let's see what they have to say.
Welcome, hi,
Okay,
to our second Dune Awakening live stream here out of our Oslo offices. Again,
Technical
hiccups happen.
difficulties.
I'm still here, we are still here. I hope everyone is still watching. But anyway, we have a lot to go through. I hope you are well hydrated and you're sitting comfortably. Before we go over the segment and what's coming up, some information for those of you who might have missed it. We have moved the release date for Dune Awakening from the 20th of May to the 10th of June, with a head start on the 5th of June. That will give us a little bit of more time to work on some improvements, so there's no concern, there's no reason for concern. We just wanted to work on a few things a little bit longer, and hopefully it makes for a better gameplay experience for everyone as well. And more importantly, it gives us the time to do a non-NDA beta weekend on a large scale where you can be streaming, you will be able to talk about the game, you will make videos.
So it's non-NDA
hopefully
as well.
That is exciting to you. So that was one of the reasons as well.
Drops.
But what are we going to talk about today?
So people can stream it, react to it, you know.
Combat. We will be talking about the vision of our combat for Dune Awakening. We will show you gameplay of both solo combat and group combat. We might even show some PvP, who knows? And then we will also have a segment
I think that
about
might be the first time we see
because
PvP.
we know a lot of you were kind of concerned, or some of you were concerned about Head Start and how it will be working, playing with your friends, playing with guilds and groups and such. So we go over that as well. And then towards the end, we'll also have a Q&A, of course, where we collect questions throughout the stream and then answer those with some of our guests. But before we dive into the combat section, let's watch a quick video.
Few survive this world, but those who do.
I will say, man, they definitely get the
Awaken.
the atmosphere and kind of like story seem to be, you know, done pretty well for this game.
The desert wants you dead, off-worlder. If the sands don't take you, the storms will swallow you whole. But you don't have to walk this path alone. In every danger, there is opportunity.
Like I said, game looks cool. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's definitely a game that I'm, you know, looking forward to.
Waiting to be harnessed.
It's just, you know, to pay 50 for an MMO, that makes me a little bit more dodgy when it's not already my genre.
But Arrakis is yours to explore, to fight for, to
Bro
conquer.
took a knee to the face there.
But there are forces beyond even your control.
June 10th for PC. I know they have console planned, but that's later.
Master Arrakis, will open your mind. This is your path to awakening.
I mean, it looks cool. It definitely looks cool. Like I said, if they can get it done right, I think this could be a pretty legit one.
Once Human
I do
is
have to get.
genuinely
I have
one
to
of
do
the
that character
strangest
creator
games
very
I've
soon,
ever played, and they just reached out to sponsor this video. I think
so that I can have that free weapon thing. But
Welcome back. So, combat, we have seen your comments, your feedback
a
on
server browser.
combat and what
Okay.
we've shown so far. So obviously we want to show you more. And to talk about combat, I have two guests with me now, two very interesting guests, and they really know what they're talking about. For one, I have Viljar here, game director on Dune Awakening. Viljar, you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Hi, I'm Viljar.
If you do not show game content, we will not show the trailer.
Game director.
Like as in
Other
gameplay.
projects I've worked on. I started at Funcom 25
What's up,
years
Magnus?
ago,
How you
working
doing?
on Anarchy Online. I also worked here at on Age of Conan. I did some travel in between. Worked
Yeah,
on the
no, I
Sandbox
know.
shooter.
Whenever
I worked
like
on Hitman Absolution and Mirror's Edge
I
Catalyst,
think-
to mention a few games.
So a lot of things that are very relevant as well to especially this section and combat in Dune Awakening too. And then also, last but not least, we have Alex, lead combat designer. Alex, you want to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hi, my name is Alex, lead combat designer on Dune Awakening. With Funcom, I've been for like 16 years now, with the last big project being...
Yeah, I think cinematics are
Conan
cool
Exiles,
and
yeah.
like they're
Has it been
fine
16
for a
years? That's very
teaser. Like if you
interesting.
just want to say
That's
like
That's crazy. I love I remember doing
2026 or
that Conan Exiles
27
too,
or
back
whatever.
in
Like
the
if
days.
there's a
Super
long
fun
period of
too.
time,
Yeah,
fine.
it's good times.
I do think sometimes games announce
Anyway,
themselves way
now
too
we're actually
early,
talking
like
about combat in
GT6
Dune
and
Awakening, though. And
Elder Scrolls
to
6.
talk
But
about combats,
if
we
you're
also
really
have
close
talk
to
about the
release and you
vision
don't have
of our
gameplay,
combat
like
in
if you're
Dune
asking for
Awakening,
pre-orders,
which is
that should be
we kind of
illegal.
want to raise the bar when it comes to combat in open world survival
Yeah,
games
like asking for
specifically.
pre-orders
but
before
what
gameplay
does
is
that
crazy to
actually
me.
mean, Viljar?
Yeah, so when we set out,
Like
we
that's-
wanted to
that's
make the
just
best
like
combat
what?
experience in the survival game genre. Combat in Dune Awakening is about the interplay between ranged,
I mean, at that point,
melee,
just
and
don't
abilities.
buy it until you see it. But
It is
I still think it's
responsive
crazy
and
that like
reactive. It is about
games will ask for
positioning
pre-orders with a
and
cinematic.
movement.
I'm like,
Quick in,
huh?
quick out.
We didn't even see the game.
Players focused on ranged and players focused on melee should have equal opportunity to succeed, but everyone will need to use abilities. Now, playing optimally means switching playstyle depending on the situation. Use ranged weapons as someone approaches, then quickly switch to melee as they get near.
So basically, combat is fast and with a lot of movement, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So we are less about the perfectly timed button press, but more about the overall tactic, like reading the combat environment. So we looked more to action games than traditional survival games when it came to building our combat. So we are not going for a Souls-like approach to combat.
Yeah, I think that's very, very important to mention as well, like actiony but not Souls-like. And in that context, I think it's also very important to mention that the combat has to work both in a solo and in a group gameplay. Group gameplay. That's a difficult thing. Group gameplay setting. There we go. Thank you, brain. There we go. Not hiccup.
Yeah. So we need to support solo and group play, as you said. So as a solo player, you really should try to separate enemies from the group. So try to approach it with a divide and conquer mentality. Abilities provide great opportunities for this approach, basically. So you can command a single NPC to come to you, or you can use a gravity grenade to keep the enemies behind them at bay. Or even use a shield wall, which is normally used for cover, to actually put it in place of someone who approaches you, and then it will slow them down, giving you more react to come up with your tactics to deal with them.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's okay to bravely run away. You can disengage with the Shigawari Claw, or even
Okay, so
on the co-op side. Playing with friends is easier,
okay, hang on.
but you still need to be careful and not pull everyone at the same time. Like the paradigm that we work with is one enemy is fine, 2 will provide a challenge, and 3 should be hard. So if you go beyond that, you kind of brought it on yourself.
Good point. In the end, there you mentioned abilities and tools and things. One thing that's very important in the game as a whole is basically be able to customize outside of combat too. But more importantly, it really also goes into.
So one of our pillars is expression and customization, and this is something that we follow throughout everything that we're developing the combat style, the specific Dune fantasy, but you can also pick from all the skill trees if you want to take a more of a generalist approach.
Okay, so you're not locked
And if we
behind
talk
skill
combat,
trees.
of course, we also have
I feel
to
like they
talk
definitely said that
weapons.
before. I just
For one,
highlighting it here, I guess.
ranged weapons. We've seen quite a few ranged weapons in a specific.
Yeah, so we do have a lot of ranged weapons in our game, and luckily the Dune lore actually supports this. It's mentioned many times in the Dune books. However, our approach with the mechanics and everything is that they're spring-loaded and mechanical. So we use dodge instead of bullets, which give them kind of a different feel to what you use from other games. I'll mention a few examples, like we have something called the drill shot. This will fire burrow darts. It will hit a shield and burrow through. And if you don't do a dash to counter that, it will go through the shield and damage you directly. But as I mentioned, you can do a dash, assuming you have the stamina, and then they will fall to the ground. So you have to be aware of these things and use dash and stamina weapons, ranged weapons that you might see are similar to other games. For instance, we have something called the Karpov, which is an assault rifle. So.
And then we also have a disruptor, which is kind of like an SMG, right? That's specific to the gameplay as well. That's kind of important too.
Yes, of course. So we have the disruptor, which is very effective at taking down a shield. So if you see someone coming towards you with a shield on, quickly switch it to your disruptor.
Talk about shield combat as well. Did that much in showcases or videos specifically. So let's talk about shields and melee.
Yeah, so
Okay, I'm curious about
on
the
the melee
shields.
side, we have swords, we have rapiers, we have the kinjal, we have the crysknife. Swords deal damage in an area, but they are kind of slow. You do a swing, but it's kind of slow compared to the kinjal, which is very fast, but only focuses on one enemy at a time. So even there, you can play as you like. And of course, our shields, they work a little different from what you're used to in other games, I think. Our shields actually go down when you shoot, which makes you vulnerable. So you go into an encounter and start shooting, and suddenly you wonder why you take a lot of damage. Your shield went down. Now, this can be used, this also works the other way. So if you go against an enemy, if you time it right, you see them start firing, and then you dodge out of the way, and then you start damaging them. So it's about looking for windows of opportunity while dodging out of the way from damage. So you can, of course, do the melee approach, where your shield won't go down when you attack. However, you're still vulnerable to the slow blade attack. This is a special attack where if you're fighting against a shielded enemy, with a little bit of extra effort, you can actually press through their shield to deal damage through their shield. So you're never completely safe. And the last thing I'll mention on this is that you can be staggered by various attacks, in which case you should use the dash, as I mentioned already. And again, it uses stamina, so manage this carefully.
As long as you have stamina, right?
Exactly.
And if you talk shield, get out of jail free card, sometimes as long as you have stamina, right?
Exactly.
And if you talk shields and weapons, we have to mention the last guns too, of course.
Right, the last guns. So the way that the last guns work in lore is that if you fire a last gun at the shield, you get an atomic explosion. And fun as that may seem, in the short term, we deemed it impractical. So
I like that it's like, we deemed it impractical. So it's like
gun?
nuclear explosions all over the map
we
constantly.
had it working, but we figured it out that it's probably not for the best for the greater good of the game.
Probably not, yeah. It would be hilarious maybe for a day or so, but then I
It
think
was funny.
players would get kind of tired of it.
yeah, exactly. So the way we did it is that the Emperor decreed that any last gun produced or crafted on Arrakis will have a safety. So basically, if you try to fire a last gun at someone who's shielded, the last gun just will refuse to fire.
Right.
So that's how we dealt with
Yeah,
that.
as a kind of a elegant solution to the whole problem. Also, if we talk Holtzman tech, which the shield is of course a Holtzman tech, we have more Holtzman tech in the game, of course.
Yes. Yeah, so you have the Holtzman, the suspensor belts, and these are really good for both traversal and combat. So you can use them during combat to get out of trouble.
Yeah,
or
microtransactions where you can buy more stamina.
upon your enemy. It's
so
not an ability per se, but it's one aspect of the game which supports other abilities and how you use them.
I love them. They're really
so
fun.
like
And there's,
so
like,
what I
different
understand
types
is
of
like
them too,
stamina
cover-
is like
you can control it like more
the
up
dodging,
and down,
but like you still have the
vertically, or just
shield.
fall
So like
damage
the
and things
stamina
like
is just kind of like
you briefly also
that
mentioned
skill moment
the
of like
Dune
getting out of the
fantasy,
way of an attack. But like you can still
and
take
of course,
hits.
if we talk
You have
about that, we
shield.
talk like
It's just if you
we have
manage your
archetype,
stamina
like
well,
we call
you
them
can
in
like
the game,
potentially,
that
you know,
are very much
completely,
going into
you know,
this
not
Dune
get
fantasy of like
take
we
any
have
damage.
characters that people might know from the books or the movies, like Duncan Idaho, Swordmaster, for example. And for example, we also talked melee. We do actually have a Swordmaster archetype in the game, right?
Yeah, so we have the Swordmaster action where they dodge and don't take damage. They have the knee charge, which is very practical when you want to knee kick
The
someone.
knee charge looked cool.
Person that you'll play will be much cooler.
There we go. Very valuable and very much example, which is a super cool skill, but we don't go into detail. For Master at Heart, I also like Retaliate, for example, which is a super cool skill, but we don't go into detail about that. You can try that out soon, hopefully yourself. Watching the show, don't copy it, maybe, I think.
Yes, we do have the Bene Gesserit, and they're all about voice powers and supreme muscle control. So they have abilities like the Bindu Sprint, where they can run at incredible speed, run into combat, or run away from combat. They have the Compel, which is where they can command someone to get to them.
Dude,
and
the Bene Gesserit powers are going to be pretty
incapacitate
sick.
them for a bit until you and actually give you time to damage them before they regain control over their limbs. And they also have the Wading Step, which is a very cool ability where they can move superhumanly fast behind someone and then attack from the back.
So
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
go with them a lot, and I love combining the Swordmaster and the Bene Gesserit trees because they just work so well together, especially also if you like melee. But we'll see more on that a little later. We need to talk about spice. Spice is important in the game for pretty much everything. It influences politics, it influences economics, it influences your character in all different kind of interesting and special ways, and it also influences combat.
Yeah, so that's true. So we have this special ability.
They will,
called
yeah. I mean,
prescience.
it's
this is where you gain special
this
powers.
is definitely a lot of
through spice
talking
consumption
before
or
showing,
even
but they will. I mean,
inhaling
they're
spice
in the
in a
next like
spice
5.
field,
Actually, in
if
the
you
next
don't
3
have
minutes.
if you're not
So
wearing a spice mask for protection. So in the game, you start with 2 abilities, and then when you play the story, you will unlock a 3rd ability at the same time as you unlock the spice prescience feature. So this is a very cool, very powerful mode to be in, where you will reduce the cooldowns on all of your abilities by quite a lot. You'll deal a lot more damage from your abilities, from range, from melee. You'll even become immune to poison. And additionally, it will actually trigger what we call capstone skills. So these are special passive skills that you invested in the various skill trees that we have. And they will only be active when you're in this special mode. So a few examples there are the shield overcharge, where you can actually see vulnerabilities in others' shield, and you can focus on those vulnerabilities and take down their shields faster. We have the Bindu dodge, where it appears as if dodge and blade attacks pass through you. Your health will regenerate at an accelerated pace as well. But what's really helpful to get an eye to understand the battlefield is it will highlight enemies. You will see their health, their weapons, their ammunition, and also the type of NPC that you will be dealing with, and it lasts for quite some time as well. It's a very powerful mode to be in, and it looks pretty cool as well.
Especially with ammunition, even though it's just like, oh, it shows ammunition, that's not that important, but it actually shows you when you have an opportunity or window to actually attack. Because yes, exactly, because NPCs have to reload as well. They kind of react very much like players have to as well.
Yeah.
But that was a lot of information. A lot of talk,
And here's
and
the,
we're actually now going to show you how that actually looks
Okay.
in
Here we go.
gameplay.
Here we go. Here we go.
We'll have Alex here.
Here's the gameplay. And an ad. This game looks cool. The altars. That game looks pretty sick.
Play like a pro, like the
It's
pro he
gameplay time.
is, because he really knows what he's doing. No pressure, no pressure, Alex. Yes.
So let's see where we go to. We have had this character set up in a location of our choosing to showcase the combinations of experiences that our players will be able to have.
Coriolis Storm.
Combat is a dance of multiple things, and we have a wide selection of very interesting toys that we'll demo here so that our viewers can
Biome
see and
heat
experience.
increase.
So this will be solo combat 1st, right? Just to make that clear.
Ooh, we're actually low on water. I forgot to solve that problem beforehand. And we're
No.
standing in the sunlight.
See, that's why you should always be prepared if you go
Right,
out.
absolutely.
Make sure you have enough
We
water.
will
Make
not
sure you
cheat
have,
to fix this problem.
enough
We will
water.
suffer the consequences
because we can cheat.
we will find water
Yeah.
in the location that we go to. As you
But
see here, we've begun to be dehydrated. But sorry,
Yes.
It's very much worth mentioning that you'll be having fewer dashes because you're low on hydration.
Your stamina actually gets
Exactly.
limited.
Yeah.
if you can see where the pips are on the bottom left of the screen above the hydration icon, every time you cross that threshold, you're given a bonus to your stamina. Right now, because we're below both of the thresholds, we do not have that bonus. It's a missed statistical opportunity.
And your health goes down as well.
And the
over
health is
time.
going to be ticking down. We have a challenge. We'll overcome the challenge. I promise.
And on the same time, you're also sunstroke.
I'm also sunstroke, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so they have a
Everything is
disruptor
going
in their
If
hand
you're
right
doing
now, which
Arrakis,
is the one I
it's
think they
Arrakis,
said is
it's
good for
Arrakis,
getting
but
rid
it's
of
still
shields.
Arrakis,
It's
yeah.
pouring sunlight.
Go for it.
So, first, I'm going to talk about the tools that we're bringing, and then I'm going to touch on the skills that we have equipped for this character. This character is specifically going to be for my playstyle.
Bro, holy ads.
Let's talk about first the equipment. We have a selection of items: healing, melee, disruptor, rifle, scattergun. These all have their uses. I will use them interchangeably in combat. We have a armor kit. This is light armor. This is more focused around dashing and dodging and being more protective against melee attacks.
Okay,
we have
so
our
here's the
battery pack
inventory.
that fuels our
We
primary
got research up
two of
there,
our
which,
primary
you know, I guess
resources,
pretty
which is
standard for an MMO.
resources. Technically, they both pull from the same pool. The energy pool, which Holtzman shields use, and this is the Holtzman shield, and Holtzman suspense use also. Now, we'll quickly show this before we go any further. So, I will first activate my shield. Boop, boop. Fantastic.
Nice.
And then, as Villa said, the unique narrative of Dune forces projectiles to have to put down a shield for them to read it. We must time our gameplay around this mechanic. Then, suspenses. The one I chose is the one I personally prefer the most. It is energy efficient, it doesn't give me vertical velocity, but it allows me to float.
Great news.
Okay.
Now your
Bro, there's an
account has
ad
enough,
every like
and
3
you get free
fucking
daily
seconds,
cases for it.
bro. What is this? IGN, are you serious?
Maybe I will have to cheat to solve this water problem. This is becoming.
Bro, IGN has an ad every like
And
3
you saw that the
seconds.
shield started blinking there. That's because he was low on energy while he was
I'm
suspended.
gonna gas out and pop the bubble.
Boom.
There we go. Right. So here we have lost our shield. We have lost the perfect barrier because it is tied to the resource pool. Because we're floating, it will regenerate, and it will re-engage. There we go. Now, in terms of skills, let's have a quick look. The camera overlay is hiding a couple of buttons, but I'll pretend I know where they are and click through them. So here we see our 5 archetypes, and my choice of skills, for me personally, and because of the setup that we're playing, which is away from the TV a little bit,
Trooper.
on remote hardware. So if I miss, it's not my fault, it's the hardware's fault. I'm getting that out of the way now.
No gaming chair either.
No. Knee charge, compel, and assault seeker. In terms of my techniques, which are actions that function passively, I can't read them without glasses, oh my goodness. Right, that I believe just says center of mass. We have energy conservation to give me more juice so that I can fight for longer, float for longer, shield for longer, and death from above to give me benefits to my damage output while I'm floating. With that said, let's do this actually. Let's do a little bit cheating so that people don't see the magic hands while we're fixing the character.
The water consumption.
The water consumption. The thing that our support crew don't
I'm gonna
realize
do
is that
some.
I need
I'm
to see
gonna
the
do
other
some
monitor
water
so that I can
consumption
fix
as
it
well.
as well.
Actually, just
Fantastic.
to
I'm gonna look this way to fix it. Magic button there.
just so we are like aligned with
It's just
our character
completely
too.
fair. There's no problems at all. This is just magic that happens.
Do you need
People
some water as
Buffy-
well? Are you
No, I'm
okay?
good. It's fine. So the character's fixed.
Why is their water is just fizzing?
Hydrated?
They're all just drinking sparkling water. What the
Cheating
Perfect.
concluded.
fuck? Club soda, ew.
See, we have a blue bar. It's magic. Perfectly planned, perfectly prepared. Nothing happened.
It was all planned
It was
anyway
all
from the
planned.
get-go, so we
And you can
just
see that even though we're cheating, the health doesn't go up
Exactly.
immediately. You will have
Because-
to regenerate health.
Because we are hydrated, we are regaining our maximum lost life.
Exactly.
Right. So what we're gonna give
That
it,
water's
we're gonna give it a
draining
second
quick too.
so that we don't
Holy
completely get
shit.
destroyed even though we're shielded as we progress
We
forward.
can also talk about the fact that you're actually wearing a helmet, but you can actually hide the helmet.
Should
I think
show that?
you can. I mean, it's not combat related, but I think a lot
Where
of
is
people
that
are
button, if you
actually
guys remember?
press D. You can press D,
Press the B key.
and there you go. So
There
you have a
it
toggle
is.
here, so you can actually toggle your helmet on and off, and that works with
I
all
like
armor.
helmetless in this case. much
Me too.
better.
Like a lot of players, like just have like, I don't want to see. I want to see the beautiful face on you during the character creation.
Okay. I believe.
You can
Tell us
survive.
guys.
You can survive the first encounter. That's just
I hope
outside.
so. And we have DBNO mechanics that will allow me to stand back up again. Let's experience.
You're also,
Well, if not, you have
and you're
an
also being,
excuse.
being dehydrated by the sun again.
Still, right. Let's get into the let's get into the shadows. I will. The location we're going to is an Ecolab. It's to the forward left. We're gonna rotate counterclockwise and hit the entrance. I've been in this Ecolab a couple times, so I have relatively good memory of where the NPCs are. But if I make a mistake, it's not my fault. It's the hardware's fault. We shall begin.
Taking a bold approach here.
This is not.
Okay.
I hit every bullet. It's absolutely not me. We'll reheal, and because we're shielded.
Oh,
we
so
can
there are
see
med
two
kits. Okay.
Let's get into it.
I thought you literally just had to, like,
Get the
rehydrate.
tempo. I'm gonna go here, rotate left, compel core. Thank you.
That was the Bene Gesserit ability.
We dispatch him easily.
thing
We're
called
relatively
compel.
safe here. This character is by himself. His mate was dispatched. We're shielded. We're in shadow and we're inside. This is the entrance of our Ecolab location. I used compel there as one of my skills. In the very beginning of the game, we do not have access, like Vilja said, to all three skills. You must experience a certain narrative event before they come online.
Yeah.
At that
You
particular point.
probably have gotten it at this point in the game
yes.
because it's like 10 hours in or something.
Do you remember which tier we're in right now?
Steel.
Steel tier?
Well, this one is steel tier, but it's placed in iron tier area.
Right, it's the challenging Ecolab.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites because it is quite long. It has very interesting disposition of rooms, and it forces you to really, really work, especially for the tier that it's in. So we're gonna make our way down the hall. Actually, no, we'll save that for later. I was thinking about activating the Prescient state, but I think we'll save that for later. So let's see. We have two characters here. They don't know we're here. We will. No, we won't do that. We'll just open up with a scattergun. Oh no! Okay, that was my mistake.
You
Shield
could
back
though,
on.
like if you crouch, you're actually making less noise.
This is one of the things that is not often evident because if you crouch your character, you do not generate audio movement events. What that means is that if you can predict which way NPCs will move, you can get much closer to them to do what I essentially did here, which is
I've been
Okay,
yearning
so
for this
typical
moment.
crouching, right? I guess.
get the scattergun in a much, much closer position.
Yeah, the scattergun obviously is better at close range because
Okay,
it's,
so you
it scatters
swap
a lot of
shoulder,
bullets,
you know,
a lot
I
of
guess.
dots.
We will
Most
push
games
through.
have, but-
Let's have a look.
Yeah, because the scattergun is basically like your
Some
shotgun
games like
approach,
this
you know.
game mechanics already
The
exist.
other interesting element
Of
here is that
what are you
as
talking
Vinny
about
said
specifically?
prior,
Like the shield or?
we don't only. Ooh, I missed.
Oh, that
Oh,
was a
nice
nice
dodge.
nice dodge from
Let's not. I'm shielded. He's not going to do anything. It's okay. We're fine. We're overpowered. One of the things that Vinny mentioned before is that because of
I mean,
these-
yeah, I mean, it's like most
because of the
games. I
whole
mean,
new
almost
technology
every
and
game
because
is
of how we need
borrowing
to
from another
value-
game always.
There has to be value to attacking something, but not really.
I mean, there's
taking
always
a hit onto
something.
it, which
You
is
know,
where
I mean,
staggers and the stagger mechanics really come in. For example, with the scattergun is one of the best.
I
tools
guess
you
the
have
biggest thing is
to
like
force
how
a-
you
force a
take
stagger
those
at
mechanics that you're
short range, not
using
melee range, but
and
at
like
short
change
range,
it, you know,
to a
like to
target that
fit
you
the
manage to
game,
land
you
all
know,
your darts on.
improve upon it,
So
make
with
it
the tool,
new.
continue advancing, explore the space. Shall we activate the special?
Just wait till you get
energy?
in a little bit of trouble.
Let's get a
What
bit
do you
of
mean
trouble.
for inventory?
Kind of a longer corridor. I will zoom in with
Like
my
the game
magical
mechanics for the
Mark 1
inventory.
eyeball.
Talking about like the
to try to
helmet,
spot the baddies as we advance ever so slowly.
like the helmet
No.
hiding.
There we go. Right.
It looks like No
Pull
Man's
back.
Sky.
Yes,
Main
we
charge
there.
will
Yep.
proceed to compel.
Oh yeah, I mean I don't think they were saying the
You're
grid
running
was
away.
like,
Oof.
you know,
Okay. I
their
need to-
revolutionary
This is
thing.
the other element. We need to.
I think they were just
disposition.
showing it off.
Oh,
Oh, he didn't get through. Oh, just dodging. Please push through. Nice. I need to.
Oh.
I have my abilities.
So we see it's very much about positioning and tactical
One,
combat.
two,
Yeah.
three. You stagger, push through. Nice.
and as you saw, the NPC was actually doing a knee charge against you because they have the same abilities as we do.
Yeah, no, like I said, I don't necessarily think that they were like, you know,
And he's
saying that the
reload, and I
grid was
follow
like
He was just
Successfully.
reloading.
their next
Yes,
revolutionary
nice.
thing.
Successfully. We might
I think-
actually get
I think for that
NPCs to
instance, they were
maybe
just-
be a little bit more clever with when they reload
I
versus
think for
sheer
that
targets.
instance, they were
That's a
just letting
future
people
team
know, like,
conversation.
hey,
Let's
Yeah,
go
maybe you
back.
can at least imbibe some spice beer so you're ready for it.
Absolutely. Let's see. Let's take before.
I think
we
they're
go
just letting people
further,
know, like,
let's
hey, you can move your head, like your helmet, you can
now
take it
push
off.
our bar upwards, and we have to wait a few ticks for it to get ready. We're not going to trigger it yet. We're going to wait for
Well,
the go signal before we get spicy.
I mean, yes and no. Like I
Also,
get
you
what
can
you're
do that
saying,
via food or drinks, but also.
but I definitely think that
sometimes
like
it
as
kind
much
of
as
doesn't
they're
organically.
you know
If you
borrowing
go to a spice field,
ideas,
you
I
will
think
inhale
that's just
spice
kind of
Yes.
like
directly.
inherent though. Like there's
And you
always
also
got to
see
be an
the
inventory
particles in the
system,
air,
like no
which
matter
is
what.
very
You know,
interesting.
there's always got to be you know a skill tree. Like
And
it's
then
just,
follow
I guess,
through, and we'll keep eyes out for the other characters.
steel hunters. Yeah, I was thinking of maybe playing it on stream, but I'm not the biggest like mech game fan.
Oh, he's gonna come.
Oh, I didn't press keyboard fault, not my fault.
Not really my
I
type of
actually tried
game.
to dodge, or technically dash. Push through the shield. Nice.
So you saw the shotgun there staggering the enemy and then following through with a blade.
My objective there was to read the telegraph on the knee charge and move tactically to the side. I had failed. I pressed the wrong button, but it's okay. Success was still had. Right, and here, because we're in an eco lab, it is actually not the easiest place. Should we activate our power here?
Sure.
Let's
Go
do
for
it.
it.
So, we're entering the prescient state. As Vilja said prior, we
Okay.
have increased output of damage, we have reduced cooldowns on our abilities, and more importantly, we have information. And information is ammunition that we can use to succeed.
Yeah, you have to actually see the enemies first. But
I think
once
for
you
showing
do,
off games, you should have
are
experienced
you are
players show
conscious of where they
Yeah,
are.
that's
So,
definitely.
will
I
actually
think that's
try to
definitely true.
utilize the playstyle of this character
Um,
build to its optimum. I will float
That actually
in
happened to me today, where
the fight. Please hit. Please hit. No, okay. No. Not that way.
You did see the buff activate
Yeah,
though
yeah.
on the right side from
See
your
the heal?
passives
I need to engage
while
this
we were
flame.
floating.
Dash sideways. 1, 2, 3. Dash away. Fence. Parry. Follow through.
okay, so there's a parry.
And since you're spec'd, you're on the same tier as them basically. It's just one slow blade. If you go against higher tiered enemies, you will have to use
Yeah.
more of those. So that's obviously more challenging.
Normally, the first time players experience a location that they're under-gamed for, they need to be ooh, that's interesting.
I was
Ooh,
watching
okay, let's
like
proceed
this
now.
this like YouTube short on
Yeah,
the
and you shall. Okay.
And what we saw there was that you were blocking. You weren't parrying. You were
Yeah.
holding block actually.
I didn't feel comfortable in the situation to try to risk it. How did he die? I guess he exploded.
I was watching a marathon, bro. IGN and their fucking ads, bro. There's no wonder they have money, bro. fucking ad every 10
Push
seconds.
forward,
Um,
see what we
I was watching like a
Let's
journalist,
actually
you know,
reload our quick reload.
was I guess
There we
playing
go.
marathon, and they like
Press
recorded
this
some
button,
footage,
or
and then
press
they
the
were
same
able to
button,
upload it.
reload this button. There we go.
And it was like
And this last
brutal
one is
team
already ready
wipe.
to go.
You also see
It
now,
was
of course,
awful.
that the spice
The guy
missing
looked like he
bug
probably
also
has
down.
never
Yeah.
played a video game in his life.
And as you saw there, Alex
I was like,
preparing
dude, these
before
are the
next
people that
encounter. You
review
really should
games and say
prepare
that it's
before you
bad
go
or
into
that it's
every
hard,
encounter.
and I'm like, yeah, no wonder.
Especially if you play solo.
You don't
right?
play
You have to be
games.
way more
You
careful
half
right
the
now.
time you're writing, which is
It's
fine. That's your
Usually
job. But like,
it's okay, it's just a
don't say a
question of
game's
how many
hard or that
resources
it's a
players
bad
are willing
game
to
because you
sacrifice
don't know how to play it.
for their speed and or efficiency. Let's actually throw a seeker. Bang.
But we also see here what you mentioned earlier when we talked about solo group.
I
Like,
guess.
like Alex is
But,
really
yeah, I
trying
don't know, I
to
just-
be able to
I'm just like, man.
pick his fights, right?
You know,
like
it's-
trying to
They
separate
just
enemies,
picked like
trying to
better
go for
people,
cover.
you know,
He
to
uses
play their
ability
games.
to not have to fight everyone
Yeah.
at
I
the same
compelled
time.
the heavy there to force them into a long CC effect while dispatching his friend. I'm going to come back now and solve the problem. Okay. Oh no.
And this is the first time we see a heavy in this.
Let's see,
this
let's
sequel.
switch the disruptor and we need to use our explosive damage to get
Bro just threw like a fucking hunter killer drone from fucking BO2.
a little bit of chip on him. Not that much chip, but let's see what happens. We're going to go in. 1, 2, 3. Push through. Disengage, see if he decides to bubble. No. Another hunter. Okay. No. And then
Because-
And yeah, this guy has a minigun, and they are very good at taking down your shield as well.
What are the chat?
Oh,
That was very close.
he was
Okay.
just about to do a suspensor blast, which would incapacitate Alex.
One of the big things that we
So when they're getting
have played
attacked like
experience
that, you can't just
even
like
though,
go
as
into
we
a slow
supply,
attack. I
even
guess
though
they'll do some
an
type of
individual
like.
character is quite easy to handle. The second you mismanage space or mismanage resources,
That bomb
it becomes
doesn't seem to
very,
be
very
doing
tricky.
anything.
I need to stop speaking in focus. It becomes very, very tricky to handle the output that everything is from, which is why I need to try to focus these guys down quickly. CC him, disengage, reposition.
I jokingly say running away bravely, but like it's really a tactic.
It's a
I mean,
smart
bro is
tactic.
playing on a
You-
tiny
you
desk.
should
I mean, look
try
how
to
much.
get away from it, regroup, and then go back in with a plan. Because going up against a lot
He
of
has
enemies
like,
solo
dude has like an
is
inch of
tricky.
desk space.
Right. Progress. Okay, this way. It looks interesting. Let's have a look. Right, that appears to be a rain. Ooh, okay. Let's check this way. Rotating.
heavy.
Right. So again, we'll compel him away from this problem, and then we'll press the opposite direction, and we'll try to dispatch his friends quickly. It's not me. It's the hardware. Into melee, blocking. No, I failed. Okay, recharge. Recharge successful. Push through.
Boom.
He charged
Abilities
successful.
allow you to bypass. Can I? Yes, I can. No, okay.
So to do the slow stab, you have to have stamina.
Pull away. The reason I pulled away is because I noticed my stamina, which is why my abilities were not usable. I pulled away to regenerate my stamina, re-heal to be safe. I could probably have succeeded the fight. I just didn't want to choose to risk my resources.
Oh,
because
so you have
everything you do
multiple health bars
costs
too. It
time,
looks like he
costs
has full
investment.
health plus
Why
his.
risk when you can make things a little bit more successful?
Right, and you might even have lost your shield because of the minion.
Push through.
And I'll mention for the beta players that we're doing a big
Dang, that dude's got a lot of health.
rework or iteration on stamina. So a lot more things will cost stamina.
That actually did something that time.
Stamina won't always regenerate depending on actions that you do. You won't regenerate stamina as you sprint, for instance. We have a few more fixes coming in for this as well, but it will be a much more valuable and an important aspect of combat.
This version is not on the beta, right?
No, this is
No,
not on the
this
beta.
one
Right,
is
so
not
this
on
is
the
the
beta.
first time beta players could be potentially seeing the changes that are upcoming.
Yeah.
Interesting. Lovely lore tidbit. Let's press the button. People can enjoy the text on screen while we proceed to succeed.
That's actually the boss that is talking.
It's the leader of this this area, Inhaler.
I don't see any contacts. We'll push forward and further and okay. This looks like a space
Compared
or
to the
something.
trailer
There
of
we go. Right.
Like the one they
so
showed at the
my
beginning.
press instinct has depleted,
Oh yeah.
which is why I don't see the character's lovely highlights to tell me what they're about to do. So I need to choose
Or like
when to go in with much less information.
like in
And we can see here what's happening
I
now
mean-
is that he's indoors. We can't actually consume spice. He needs to wait for that bar to go down.
inherently
consume
game,
spice.
you know,
However,
like
he will have to
trailers are
consume
gonna
more
make the
spice
game
now
like look
than he did in the first round because
cooler,
his
right? Like it's
tolerance
gonna
is
be
growing.
very
And this can
tailored
go
and
up
like
to
the
quite a high level
you
where
know
you'll have to
the
consume
player's
a lot
gonna
of
barely
spice
get
in
hit
order
by
to be able to
anything
control
and
it.
you know blah blah blah
Shall we
whatever.
consume
Damn,
spice? Let's see.
he
Oh,
is
no.
not landing that attack
Ooh.
at all.
I will know. I will focus on the gameplay. Right, dispatched. Okay, let's see what this character is doing. Okay, he thinks I'm there. Let's compel. One.
But like overall, I mean, I
Walk
don't
away.
think like
Scatter
you know,
him.
I mean it.
See what he does.
I don't know. Seems cool.
I'm not there
Ish.
anymore. And I can't hit him. Great. Wait, again.
Well, he seems to be
Is
stuck.
the server acting up?
Let's see what happens. We're gonna finish and get
Right
a
in the
success
butt.
opportunity.
Oh.
No.
Back.
Leaving. Nice.
He stabbed him in the butt. Yeah, again, like I said, I don't think like inherently there's anything that's like wrong about it.
That need your approval.
And let us
This is
reload
50
really
bucks
quick.
for the
Can we
MMO
press this button
for
to
this
rearm
game.
this gun, or press this button
50
that's already
bucks.
reloaded. Scattergun is reloaded. Disruptor ready.
And
Let's go.
supposedly that's like
Right,
that gets you
I have plenty of
everything.
this lab. We're
Like
gonna go down the
supposedly
stairs.
like all the DLCs that they add won't add anything that will like change gameplay. Everything that's like gameplay changing according to them, right,
And
is going to be
spice
free.
is the fuel of the
Which
empire.
again I think
It
is
a
great. Like
lovely resource, it
in
is expensive, but we are
reality,
on
right?
Arrakis,
Like if
therefore,
it ends up
unlike
not being
most
true, then
Arrakis
you
in
know
the
obviously
universe,
like
we
kind
have
of you know
easy
not a
access to
good
it.
thing. But
And to be fair, we're cheating right now a little bit. When it
if
comes
it's
to
just
spawning
cosmetic
items,
stuff
we're
that's in the
spawning here.
DLCs and like just like extra story, but not necessarily
Mostly.
gameplay changes, that's fine.
Observe.
No, but
You
you
know,
will
I don't
be able
mind that.
to create
But
two
once you
crafts,
start
spice
getting
beer,
into like
spice coffee,
gameplay
yourself.
changes
and you
in
also
like
sometimes
especially
find
like
it, in
PvP
the-
games like this and MMOs and stuff,
Okay, that's
and
good.
like
This
you know
way.
you're paying 50 and then you're also gonna have to buy the expansions to feel like you're competing. That's when it starts to get a little bit more dangerous, I guess, in terms of like you know
No, I can
Oh.
reload. That's a mistake, Alex. There we go.
of like you know
My
why am I
shield
paying
won't fall.
50
This
and then
is-
like
this
I'm gonna
is
be
from
outdated,
two
you know,
attackers.
in 3 months
Okay,
or
let's
something.
speak more focus. Sorry.
So
Easy
if
there.
they do stick to that plan of it being cosmetics and you know mostly just
Full
like
approach.
visual changes,
stabbed.
that's cool. Stream is down.
Disruptor.
Oh
reload,
no.
Rifle.
Okay, hang on.
reload.
Let me
Hello.
I had to start my recording again. My
Let's
Wi-Fi or
forward.
something went
And
wrong with my
further.
stream.
Are we alone? We're alone. We continue. I believe we are 2 rooms away from our final destination. Let's see how well we overcome this. We have 1 shooter, 1 fighter, and oh, that's another one. Okay, I will try to quickly compel away. What's that problem? Focus on this problem. Explosive floating bomb. Go down. We decided to. Oh, that's a misplay. Oh, parry! I'm sorry. I will counter your parry with my knee. Successful. Oh, there's his friend. Parry.
Nice.
Counter. Rotation. Fantastic. Do I have to heal? And I just run out
Okay,
of stamina.
so
They're very much pushing me. This character is actually also, like Vilo was saying beforehand, a little bit pushed to the further end of progression. So I have some things that are helping me. I'm unhydrated. Where's there a water location?
Exactly.
oh my god, bro, holy crap.
Can I find some
Um,
water here?
That, to the right there. No,
What was I gonna
I
say?
thought. No.
Let me do a quick rotation around this room to see if
Doesn't
there's a
seem
water
like-
container somewhere in here that I can exploit. Else I'll have to go another way. Well, we won't have to. We just. Yeah, let's. No, sorry. One more. Let's just check this room here up ahead. Maybe.
Doesn't seem like stamina.
Oof. There we go. We should drink.
Nice.
Get more stamina. Is there a second?
I like watching trailers
No.
because
No?
like
No. Okay. One
it
is
gives
enough.
me a little bit of like you know oh,
Even
that's
without the
cool.
bonus,
Like,
it's
it
good
gets
not
me
to go
excited.
too far
But I've
close to the
definitely
red.
stopped
Right, let's go
pre-ordering
through our
games
experience.
What gives me excited
unless
is
I've
just
seen
walk
gameplay
past
and
the
like
boxes
I've
that
like
is
honest
so
reviews have come out, you know,
Sorry,
like where
developers.
people are actually
Open all the
like, okay,
boxes.
this is how the game feels.
Yep.
This is what it looks like.
Continue
You know, here's the
through.
gripes, here's the, you know, the bad things, here's the good things. Like I basically never pre-order games unless I know for sure, even if the game's bad, I will enjoy it.
The blood door.
Like for instance,
You
Death
can pass
Stranding 2,
through,
that game
but you
could
cannot
suck
exit
ass when it
until
comes
you've
out.
taken care of all the
I'm
enemies,
still gonna play it
inside.
because I love that story, I love that game, I love that universe.
Is started off as an internal keyword for us.
Yeah.
These are technically Holtzman shields that have been specifically configured for very, very specific purposes to make a gameplay experience better for the player. We should proceed through. Now,
And if you look back at the door, you can see that you can't actually exit now.
however, your friends can follow through.
Yeah.
And sometimes not friends also follow.
This is true.
And this is where some of the deep desert
Okay, so it's
parts
just
become
like
very,
like
very
the
interesting.
fog,
Yeah.
I
Alright,
guess,
so
in
in this location we have
boss fight arenas and
big
stuff, like,
gameplay
you know,
space,
Dark Souls.
3
Or
paths, left, middle, and right, and there is also an underside.
it's just a way
I
of
haven't noticed
blocking
because
you
I
from
reviewed this
leaving so
tutorial
that
a
like
couple
once you're
times,
in a
and I will
boss
confirm
fight
that
you
they
have
don't.
to do
Very
it,
good.
kind of thing. It's,
We
you know,
will engage with this
not a
piece of
bad
content
thing,
doing
but
a
that's
clockwise
basically what
rotation
that
going
is. It's
left
just
and
their
right.
in-lore
Let's see how
reason
well
is that it's like
we will
this
try
like
not to aggravate
barrier,
because
this
as we
energy
saw
field.
previously,
It
if I
doesn't
make
let
a
people
mistake,
leave.
I am punished. We will try to minimize mistakes. And again, crouching to not risk being heard until we absolutely have to. That's a heavy. This is a bad location. I should not have gone this way. I need to use this box to keep cover from the heavy. Let's see how long my shield can hold before I...
Oh.
Nice, okay. Please shield. 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 What is he doing? Shield. Shield. Compel. Run through. We will not fight him because we don't have the resources to. We will engage. No, I missed. Oh, yeah. No, stop. Please stop. Okay, stab. Finish. Crouch.
Don't raise
Dude,
dragons.
holy
right off the
hell,
bat. For
IGN.
new players, at the start of the game, don't rush to.
Get
God
below,
damn.
Get below line of fire. That guy doesn't see it.
Dude,
He
yeah.
has resources. Go in.
That happens quite a lot. I see a lot of like when they're
This
showing off
is a
gameplay, they end up
marksman
dying. I'm
that I
like,
happen
damn.
to know is here. It's quite dangerous if he's not dispatched quickly.
I mean,
They
I
can
definitely
see
do
stack up a
appreciate
lot
when
of
like
poison
they
damage
play
on
without
attacks.
like, you know, invincibility
We will
on.
not
Like
fight
whenever I
heavy
see
because that is
gameplay
a
where it's like
dangerous
invincibilities on and
proposition.
stuff,
Instead,
and
continue to rotate
you know
around
they're
the
all
location
so
to
bad at
dispatch
the
his
game.
men.
I'm like,
Actually,
okay, so like we're not actually seeing like
let
the
me see,
true
maybe
game
it's-
right now.
maybe
You
it's
know,
not
we're
so bad.
seeing
Yeah,
kind
let's
of
do
like a
that.
tailored version.
Let's get rid of this guy before
You know,
we
even
get
more
too
tailored than
much.
them, you know, saying that they
Hell,
picked a location
violence.
for the trailer specifically.
No, Alex. Stab the head.
It's weird that there
Stab,
doesn't
stab.
seem to be a lock on.
No, get away. Recharge. No, I don't have any stamina. No. How
That's
about
exactly when
straight?
it comes down to resource management.
I'm too eager right now.
Power
yes.
tools.
Did that push
and-
through? No, it didn't. Try again. Dash in. And yes. Great. Follow. Staggered. Push through. There we go.
I wonder if there is
Even
like a
a
lock
combat
on.
designer can play perfectly every single time. That's
It's the
totally fine.
hardware. Please
Yes,
don't blame
it's
me.
the hardware and the
okay.
game engine.
I am actually disappointed that my pressing state is depleted yet again. It is not very efficient to not know how many hit points the opposition has.
Well-
However, we will make do.
Normally people won't explain so much as they have the pressure state basically because you lost quite a bit of it
Yes.
there. It does last for quite some time.
Level up 105.
Well,
What did I get?
He's level 105 apparently. At least that's
See
what it looked like.
happens? It's a heavy and
So that at least confirms there's more than 100
the
levels
exciting thing
potentially.
about that is now he's,
Obviously this is in the, you know,
and you start
beta and
seeing
like
these
not a live
pink
server, but
elements showing off every now and then. So after a while you might start seeing things that aren't there if you trigger pressures too often.
Why I said spice can influence your character in all different kinds of ways.
So you almost have a shield
almost
there.
have a shield. Come on, push through. No, not enough. Next weapon. Oh,
nice.
successful. Okay, great.
Okay, this
And
you know
then
definitely
let's
seems
look
to be kind of like
around.
a little bit of the
Let's
strategy
actually
to like the
reload before
shields
we
and
push
stuff.
further. Disruptor, rifle, scat gun, fantastic.
Yeah.
Rifle. Let's see what we see. I believe we have cleared the left and right, and now we need to have a look at the middle. Yep, yes we do.
How we cleared it?
Let's have a floating detonator. 3, 2, 1, click. Some damage.
Yeah, so this assault seeker actually has double functionality where you can throw it and it will explode on contact, or you can trigger it as it moves towards the target, or past the target even.
Push through the shield.
So it does
Nice.
take stamina to attack,
Reload equipment.
but not
Reload.
definitely not as much as
Reload.
the dash. The dash takes a
Oh,
lot.
No, wait, I'm not ready. Wait,
Dash
wait.
seems to take quite a bit.
Floating bomb. Yeah. Oh, I missed hand that. That was too far. Go and reload. Oh, push headshot. Yes, there we go. Great. Let's heal some health.
Yeah. I want to play this game. I don't know if it's going to be like on Game
You see
Pass,
that the
but
door
that
is
game
still
looks
locked over
cool.
there, so there's
There's
enemies
still some
left.
enemies.
Yeah, that's the
But
way
bro,
we need to go.
why
So we
are
need
there
to
so
find
many
the
ads, bro?
remainder of the
Holy
encounters.
shit.
Yeah,
And from this vantage point,
some floating maybe.
we will absolutely succeed. Float.
That's where you go. Comes into play. This is
Oh.
great.
No,
And
that's
dude is
bad,
getting
bad, bad,
shredded.
bad, bad. No, that's also bad. Please don't. I have to control him. I don't have any.
Bro, there's so many ads in this video.
That's my experience with this.
Disruptor?
That's my experience with this ecolab as well. It can get out of hand really
Yeah.
quickly if you're not very careful. If you solo this.
Where is
one.
it from? Okay, heal. Where's the heavy? If he's around the corner, I'll rotate right. 1 health pack, 2 health pack. Stay low. Stay low, stay safe. I have stamina.
Again, I want to give this guy the benefit of the doubt because he
Guys
is the
behind.
lead combat designer. There's
He's
no
like
way
this.
he's actually this bad. You know what I'm saying?
Bam.
I'm just choosing to ignore you.
One.
Oh, you got
Okay. Knee to the face. Dagger through. And run away. Give me my cooldowns back.
No, he
Stamina.
he had
Stamina
like
form.
19, bandages or med
Wow.
kits or whatever.
Dagger.
So he just had quite a bit saved up.
This is all about risk minimizing.
So now he has 12. You can see it down there at the 1.
Durability of my equipment. I chose not to. I believe we've mostly cleared the space. Let's have a reload and a look-see. Here we go. Right. Let's get back upstairs. To there. To there.
So
Yeah, you see
go.
the door is green there. So we're not going to go through the next room. That's where Inna Hiller, the leader of this Ecolab or this testing station, is. We're gonna end the solo play at this point.
Yep. I love
Not spoil the boss here.
No.
Yes.
This
So
is-
running
Yeah,
doesn't
record
seem to
talk
deplete
actually,
stamina,
yes.
at least out of
Okay.
combat. I
Okay,
don't know if I
so
was paying much
So
attention when he
that
was in
gives
combat.
us the opportunity to now from solo gameplay go into group gameplay, like with more.
Bruh. Oh yeah, they have like an in-game radio with like music and stuff like that. It's kind of cool, I guess.
Things behind fast was we can different.
Alright, so
plus
here's,
also we
I
see
guess,
more
co-op gameplay.
group viability.
So
like
Eric,
group,
Tusty
gameplay,
Beans,
group,
if you ever end up getting it,
I'm
this is
looking
what
for,
we'll be doing.
Coordination,
a little
thank
bit
you.
of planning,
Exactly.
well, a little bit more of them planning because these locations are in the deep desert, so you have to have a fair bit of planning and protection because not everyone here is a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the deep desert ecolabs, they are in PvP areas, so you run the risk of PvP here, obviously.
Also, we see
Oh,
also
so this is in the
players
deep
here,
desert
they
where it's like
wear higher tier
PvPvE.
armor. They have better weapons. They have more abilities as well. Plus, but you're probably gonna comment on that later on as well. The approach and the mechanics in this type of ecolapse is kind of different than we just saw in the solo
Yes,
gameplay.
the enemies are much more aggressive. They're much higher tiered enemies. The weaponry and the gadgets and abilities they use against you are more advanced. Also here, the blood doors have an additional function where waves will spawn. So not only do you have to clear the room once, you have to clear it. You have to clear all the waves before you can actually continue to the loot. And loot also works a little bit differently in the deep desert compared to.
This guy seems to be more of the Blade
areas.
Master build.
PvP loot and PvE loot works differently. So in PvE, everybody gets the loot. You can't cheat anyone because anyone going up to the loot box, exactly, they will get the loot. However, here you have to trust that the first person to get the loot actually will share it with the group.
Oh, so out in the deep desert,
So better make sure you have a good
Um,
friends. Like let's call it. Let's say that.
out in
way,
the
right?
deep
So,
desert, the loot is
yes.
shared. but if you're in like the regular play spaces, like the PvE area, you each have like
So yeah, we just
player
took the-
specifically, which is
We
good.
just cut down the door, as you saw.
That, like, you know, at least in the
This
PvE
is
spot,
the same
that it's
technology as is used
player
to harvest rocks
specific.
and materials out in the world.
Players are going to advance through the first of the blood doors, exploring the space around them. And
That's-
we will
I
experience...
think Camille playing, so he is actually looting boxes. Thank you.
Ooh.
Better from anxiety.
Let's see what our players encounter. Exploring the space. I love these. These are so different just to seeing desert all of the time. It's lovely.
I do recommend having a shot caller on the team, someone who coordinates, because if everybody just do their own thing, these enemies are not only higher T, they have more health, they're much more aggressive.
Also, can we talk about friendly fire?
Absolutely.
So you won't do damage to your friends with normal darts, things like that. However, area effects, abilities, and the flamethrower will actually damage your friends. They won't take full damage, but you should be careful.
So everything that kind of does area of the back damage, right, will also kind of damage, do
Yeah,
damage to your
yeah.
friends.
So things like poison, explosives, flame, when delivered in an AoE, which is also flamethrower, and in a deployable, like you showed me using the assault seeker beforehand. And CC effects like suspensor grenade or reduction grenades are also applied in full. So you really need to manage where your AoE CCs to not hamper your allies. I believe our players have just defeated one of the waves, and then they are now preparing to receive the next. They will rearm and re-equip and be ready to rock and roll. And
So
we'll
it
be
looks
able
like
to
the
send
water
ship
is like
very focused
like a water
on
skin
the
or
pain
something.
gameplay.
Like we're like over in the 7.
They also have
Looks like
different
the
ways,
water is, you know,
different,
I guess like
abilities
a
with
bottle
different
where like you
weapons,
take from
which
it
is
and you just keep
interesting as well.
drinking and
Switch between
it'll deplete like over time.
They would
But
be
like,
we saw one
you know,
player
depending on how
focus on the NPC and
dehydrated you
then
are,
really
you could drink
switch
like a
to his
certain amount.
friend to focus on the same NPC. This
You
is
can kind of
exactly
fill it
the
up as you go.
coordination players will need to exhibit in these
If you find like
locations.
water, you
While it
know,
may not be obvious
things,
with-
deposits or
until you're
whatever.
actually playing these places,
Which,
these
yeah,
NPCs are
cool, I guess. Maybe there's
stronger,
ways to upgrade it
faster,
as well.
they are much
Because that guy
more
seems to have
dangerous.
more ticks on it, like
However,
more
some
like,
people might want to challenge themselves and come here
I
by
guess like
alone.
spots.
Who knows? It's up to
And
them.
then I think when they swap to
They also
somebody else,
retreat,
it
they
like
use
has
cover,
less
they, use some
sections
abilities
on
that
it.
players have at their disposal as well, depending on how
Yeah,
what
they'll
kind of
dash
enemies
and
they are.
they'll parry much more often as well. I do want to mention one thing again to the beta players, that we have listened to feedback when it comes to how friendly fire works. Friendly fire will still be valid for groups, but we are reworking how they affect guilds basically.
Prior to this change, both guild mates and group mates were considered allies for the purposes of not taking damage.
Exactly.
This is one of my favorite. Like, I can tell that's a Swordmaster build because you saw the green effect, which is basically a passive of the Swordmaster archetype. If you kill someone, it will give you a buff for, I think the first level is 15% more damage for the next attack
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well. After you kill
And you see
someone.
the Bene Gesserit, they stand apart because their effects are black or dark.
It's very distinct, so,
Yeah.
so players can understand what's happening around them. It's good.
I've been yearning for this moment.
Group player
This is
focuses.
very
So, co-op,
This hangs out.
again, you know, I don't know
It's
if this is
almost-
like super
It's
hard
almost
content,
as
but
if they're knowing what they're doing.
overall seems like for the most part you can kind of get away with kind of all just shooting at what you want.
Bit of resource
I'm sure
management,
once you
bit of
fight a boss, you might
coordination,
have to
a little
like
bit of
actually
healing.
use your brain a little
What we
bit,
saw
but
there was
So
quick
waiting for the
looting.
next wave.
They looted them quickly. They didn't have to go into an inventory. You can go into an inventory and just pick the pieces you want, but that was quick looting where you just hit spacebar and you get them one by one.
I think that person's actually kind of poisoned right now. If I
Yeah,
like that, you can see
Yeah.
So in the
Okay.
paradigm that we have, applying a healing kit will remove poison effects from the players. One of the nice things about poison grenades is that especially both in PvE and PvP they have a use case. Not only will they force NPCs to move, because NPCs don't like to be in bad clouds of green stuff, it also forces players in PvP to actually make a choice between, do I want to stay here and suffer this small but eventually significant effect, or do I want to reposition and heal? There are many ways to use these, and players are, let's say, very close by the
That was really nice there. They're like
Ooh.
almost out of stamina. Like
Nice.
Did we
that was
mention?
really nicely played though.
I don't think we mentioned, but enemies will. Oh, there you saw one. And enemies will
They will
actually.
revive,
They will
yeah.
actually. Sometimes they run away, and you wonder what they're doing. They're doing the same thing the player is doing. They're actually
Yeah.
running away to heal, so
To
that
heal.
they can come back.
And they can of course also revive themselves. They can get out of the down but not out state
Exactly,
as well,
yeah.
like players can.
I love the floating light machine gun, the character build just there that we saw a second
Oh
ago.
yeah.
That's a throwback to the one
The
that made me
turrets?
go,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's
Yeah, I was
see what
about
we
to
do
mention it
next.
earlier because we've seen it a few times now. We haven't actually commented on it,
Yeah.
which is
Here we see it, the turret. Yeah.
yes, which is a mentor ability if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It's like actually one of the first mentor abilities. And now we're in Prescient state again. So see all the
That's
information.
more than NPCs against. Let's see how well we do. A little bit of panic, a little bit of crossfire. The question is, will our team survive and succeed and receive
Nice.
the rewards?
Depends on the hardware, from what I understand.
Nice one. Oh my god. Okay. Okay, brownie points. That was really nice.
Very good. Very good. I enjoy it.
Unscripted joke.
Oh,
Awesome. Not that we have
Please.
anything scripted here really, but that was really nice.
here we go. 1, 2, ooh. Through the shield. Shield broken, almost broken.
He's gonna.
He's still focusing on.
Nice.
Okay, nice.
Oh, +5.
Dude must have
Come
pulled
on.
something good. I don't know what he pulled,
That's
but
a
he was happy.
flamethrower heavy.
So we've
Burning some
seen.
friends.
Also, we've seen a knife earlier, and now we actually see a sword in action.
One of the big differences that we mentioned before is the gameplay stylization. Swords are an area of control weapon. They're a little bit slower than daggers, but daggers allow you to quickly attack and also lunge. One of the things that we really want to focus on for our melee playstyles, which is not super evident right now, but soon TM will be, is that they are all distinct, have a gameplay role that players can choose to enjoy, and those gameplay roles will be meaningful and engaging, and they will have distinct counters.
This player has like that dash ability, I
gotta say
think, that they
again,
were talking
I
about.
love movie. I'm like, it's my build. Like, I combine Swordmaster plus chest raid skills, and I absolutely love it. Plus, I have a sniper rifle. Because I either want to be super far away and kill people really fast, or be in their face. Like, that's kind of playstyle. I
Oh,
love
that
it.
dude
too.
just got
There we just saw a
stunned.
suspensive blast from the enemy there, which staggered our friend here.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure from two NPCs. Oh, no. So here we see some special NPCs. These NPCs are configured to be different from the normal experience, wherein
Dang, he's
the
getting
actions and
fucked.
abilities that they can throw out are much more.
Oh, they're really wailing on
Bro, this dude is
There we
getting
go.
Medium right
cooked.
now. Oh my god.
You guys have to work harder to survive. Let's go. No cheating.
That dude was getting
So these
cooked.
doctors-
God damn.
Like some of these NPCs are configured quite differently to the normal experience.
Homie was
outside of
getting
the deep desert.
fucked.
They have abilities that players do. They are on a lower cooldown, and they are much more eager to use them against players.
Aggressive.
Very
It's called aggressive. Yeah, they're very aggressive. Yes.
ability use.
Bro, that dude was getting
Oh,
railed.
they defeated the wave.
They
That's
did
fantastic.
actually. Yeah, they did defeat
And
them.
then we are waiting. Oh, and they're prepping as well with turrets and everything. Right.
Also getting a friend
Seeing where the
down.
next wave comes in from. Oh, bubbles. Bubbles everywhere. A little bit of focus.
Be nice there. You can see all the abilities that specific NPC has.
They need to defeat all of the NPCs before the next wave triggers. Oh, actually, was that the last wave?
I was just wondering that. I was just about to ask.
I
like,
believe our friends
Yeah,
have
yeah.
successfully succeeded.
because it's actually because the door is green there.
Yeah.
So that's the last one.
Good job.
This
Good
is
job,
the
team. It was
the
one.
You
loot.
can see here on the left, in the
Yeah.
lower left corner, that they're all grouped up. You see the names of them and everything. So
Right. Yes.
good going group, good going team.
Absolutely. One of
Someone took one for the team, which is totally okay. Someone you have to have a sacrificial lamb.
Yeah.
And now that awkward moment where trust is tested in terms of who chooses who gets the loot.
Exactly.
Who knows?
Well, you have a
Exactly.
leader. You have a leader who hopefully distributes loot fairly. But yeah, you nicely see there the group set. Actually, the group setups has changed.
Okay.
Oh, it's oof.
Who? The group setup is changing there behind the scenes. Okay, yeah. Nice.
It's one of those moments when friends decide not to be nice to each other.
Gotta
Our
say it
friends
again.
won't be
Make
friends.
sure you know your friends. You have close friends. Was it like
Oh.
keep your friends
there
close?
you
Not
go.
keep your enemies close. No, keep your friends close. Your
They
enemies close.
turned off their friendly.
Oh, from the second perspective. Oof.
This is a single.
So, a 2-on-2 fight, a 2-on-2 player fight in a confined space is going to get messy. There's going to be colors on the screen. There's going to be effects going off. We will see if we can comment as best as we can to what's happening.
See,
feel like
there's
esports
someone dead there already.
like-
Oh, they took somebody down. That was very fast.
Is it 2 versus 1 now?
Stamina
Or
list.
is it? Yeah, 2 versus 1. Yeah. Oh, nice.
Oh.
This is very nice.
Oh, someone went prescient.
Managed to catch him.
Cheating! They're cheating.
No.
I would call it cheating. If someone goes first and I can't, it's obviously cheating. Someone
I
has it.
believe somebody got betrayed.
Oh,
Looks like it.
he compelled him.
Oh, and there's another. Oh, there's a second
Ooh,
betrayal.
That was a Bennett Gesserit skill on
yeah.
a friend.
That's
That's
funny.
like the ultimate betrayal. If you use a Bennett Gesserit skill on your friend,
Yeah.
that is just the ultimate
The
betrayal.
question is, who is the better player?
This is an interesting.
Uh-oh.
This is very close.
Oh shit.
Very close.
Dude's getting shit on.
Oh, it's
Someone
getting
out of
staggered.
stamina.
No, yeah.
That dude still has a lot of health though, whoever we're watching.
It's only one.
Oh.
Oh,
And then we saw the new Owen.
Yeah.
Bro, you gotta
So
dash
that-
out of there,
oh, I
brother.
believe- oh, the count is back. Needs to be a little bit more ability use and a little bit better stamina management. Bank your stamina and deploy it in one big burst.
Actually, you don't see the stamina on the other player, even if you're prescient, which is actually really. I think.
Oh, he got him.
So it, boom.
Oh, that's close.
He got him. He got him.
One of the players is sitting right
some
here,
tension in the
and he
room
just
here.
went like throwing his head back, and his headphones went flying. It's just like, well done, though, team. Well done. That was
Can only
great.
be one.
That can only be one. Yeah, exactly.
He turned on their
Exactly.
friends in the
But yeah,
deep desert.
Make sure you have close friends before if you go into these type of
It's like
collabs.
these kind of situations is
These
actually
situations.
one of the paradigms. Don't at all.
Is there any more gameplay that they show?
That was the combat section. Thank you so much, Vilja and Al.
What is
After shelter,
this?
still suit, and your module installed, you can scan for resources, revealing large swaths of terrain and important location.
Oh wait, hang on. What is this? Hang on. I thought this was a trailer I might have already seen, but I don't think I've seen this one.
On a map, Arrakis.
I don't think I've seen this one.
Welcome to Arrakis, the most dangerous planet in the universe. Dune Awakening is a multiplayer survival game on a massive scale, where the open,
keep saying that.
changing world ensures exploration remains a vital activity. Join us as we traverse the breathtaking landscapes and uncover what the sands have hidden. Follow in the footsteps of the native Fremen and learn to overcome the deadly environment. Collect materials to craft a shelter, still suit, and your first vehicle, then venture into the desert.
They keep saying like massive, largest whatever, blah blah blah, and I'm like, that's cool in theory, right? But
With a scanning module installed,
they can
you
actually get it
scan
to,
for
figure it
resources
out,
in
and
small
it works
areas,
out well.
or climb the highest peaks
Kudos
to
to them,
launch
I
a
guess.
survey probe, revealing large swaths of terrain and important locations like shipwrecks or abandoned Imperial testing stations. Traverse difficult terrain with tools like the Shigawire Claw and Suspensor Belt, and claim powerful tech and gear. Expand your fleet of vehicles and upgrade them with new modules to suit your playstyle. From the cockpit of the iconic Ornithopter, even the most remote expanses of Arrakis are within your reach. In the deep desert, massive Coriolis storms regularly sweep across the land with monstrous power, changing the entire map every week. As new resources and secrets are revealed, the race to survey the vast new landscape begins anew. Be the first to mark the location of precious resources, then give the map to your allies, or sell it to other players
a
on
map.
exchange.
Interesting.
Here, there are no paths to tread, only power to claim. This is infinite exploration. This is Arrakis.
All right, and we are back. We know that, of course, we're following comments and things that we see on the internet, on our social channels, and we know that some of you have been concerned regarding Head Start and how our servers actually work. What the hell was that? Stop it. This guy. It's the worst. No, anyway. So we, of course, have heard your concerns. Thank you. So we know which troublemakers is actually sitting on the side here. I'll introduce him soon enough. Don't worry. But anyway, we're going to talk about server structure and also social play, like, because some of you were concerned if someone starts Head Start and you start later, can you still play with your friends? How is that going to work for groups and
So I guess this is going to be like guild and server things.
And we're actually going to talk about this. And here to talk about that is this troublemaker, Joel.
My name is Chris. No.
Oh my god. Save me, please. No. The game director, you know him, you love him, maybe you hate him, I don't know. No, we love him.
I'm sure it'd be
despite
both.
everything.
Equal elements of both, like yin and yang.
But you want to introduce yourself quickly anyway, just to chat.
Sure, my name is Chris Knife. I'm the creative director on Dune Awakening. And I'm joined here by luscious Leo.
Yeah.
And Leo, you are?
I'm Leo. I'm
Laid back
game
Leo.
designer on Dune Awakening. And yeah, as that, I am managing the design team here in Oslo, and I also work with building systems and the social systems.
Indeed.
Right.
And this is going to be one of those sections you all love, where we talk and we don't show gameplay for a few seconds.
That's true. We have assets though. We have videos and little
There's
cool videos
there's a
visual assets.
Very cool infographic that someone made.
Which we're having on the screen any second now, because we talk about server structure.
That was the
that
wrong
is
one.
not the one. That is the right
that's
one.
the right
Perfect.
one. Well
there we go.
done.
Again,
Champion.
it's a live stream. Well, with a live stream, without some hiccups.
All right.
Anyway, please, Joel,
World
talk to us
1.
about server structure, servers, worlds, all the good stuff.
All right, cool. I will talk to you about this, Natasha. So Dune Awakening has...
God, this guy's killing her, bro.
Captain, there are still 9 or...
a very unique, somewhat different server structure to this type of games you'd expect. If you're a survival player, you're probably used to one map, one server. But Dune Awakening has kind of a larger server structure on the back end. So we have what we call worlds. Worlds are made up of multiple servers, which we call internally sietches. So often when you join a sietch, you'll see here in this infographic that Hager Basin has this big stack of sietches. So when you sign up, you'll choose your world and then you'll join a sietch within that world. Each of those Hager Basin sietches contains maximum 40 players per map, but all of those maps add up to create the entire world. The deep desert, the social hubs like Kharkov Village and Arrakis, they are actually shared social spaces in the world. The deep desert being the big PvP area in the world. And of course, so we're talking about, we have this 5-day head start. I know people are concerned. The thing is, you'll be able to join worlds that we open during that head start. We will also open more worlds when the game launches, but you can also join a sietch in a world that isn't necessarily the same sietch as your friend, but you'll be able to go and visit your friend. You'll be able to do a lot of stuff with your friends. So it's kind of, you're not going to be locked out for the most part of any content when you join.
Tip 1. Collect abundance supplies
Okay.
for rapid progressions. Don't miss chests in the corners when clearing main quests. A quick tap rewards you with valuable resources.
After the head start. Also, I would say get better friends and let them buy you the head start. That's another thing. I think is a really good option.
Yes.
That's the way to go.
Yeah, you also said 40 players per max per server or siege. What happens if someone joins anyway? If there's like
if more than 40 people try to join at one time, so it's concurrent users, so CCU, and that means that like then they'll be put into a queue to wait to join. So we can have more characters on a server than 40. We can have, several hundred. But that means people play at different times of day when people join, so there will be a queuing system in place to allow people to wait in line to get into the servers, of course.
Right. And you briefly just mentioned it, visiting. So you don't actually have to be on the same, or you don't have to start necessarily in the same server. There are some caveats to it, but let's talk a little bit more about that. How does visiting a friend on another server work?
Well, the first and most important step is to get a friend. This is often achieved by going to a cafe or a movie theater and just striking up a conversation with a random stranger. Then once you have a friend and they are also into Dune Awakening, which is also a big moment. Oh, my mic. Sorry, I have tech support here because my mic sucks. Was I talking too loudly?
And also, it'd be good to have the visiting friends. We actually have a little video or an asset that shows that too, how you can actually visit a friend.
We're talking about how to make friends first.
Sorry, well, we can talk about make friends. How do you make friends?
He's enabled sexy mode now. So now I first of all, how I make friends is I talk to them in a voice like this.
Now we have it there.
Okay, so once you've made friends, and you can see friends automatically because they're added from your Steam list as well. So if you have them as a friend on Steam, they will show up in your friends list in the game automatically. Then you go to the friends page. You simply click them and say, I want to visit this friend. It will teleport you to the nearest trade post to that friend because obviously teleporting directly to them would be exploitable in infinite amounts of ways. Once you're there, you can join up with your friend, do everything on that siege with them except for one specific thing, and that is build. You can't claim land. You can build on their base. You can be given ownership of their base and be able to build all the parts of their base, but you don't own the specific land claim. And that's just for database reasons. We need to make sure that we control how many people build in different locations. And then, of course, when you want to go home, you just push escape and choose return to home dimension, and it will take you back.
Right, and you can also do contracts and journey steps like with your friends that way as well. That will kind of carry over when you go back to your home world.
Yeah, all of the content in the game is accessible with this visiting feature, so you can basically do everything. Everything that you could do in a group, you can do, on someone else's world.
Okay. So basically, like, it's not the end of the world if you're on another siege.
Cross-play feature for everyone. You'll be able to, work together. So I think people are concerned about like, oh, I won't be able to meet my friends who started, but this shouldn't be a problem. You should be able to play with people, even if you're not in the same exact siege when you start playing.
Right. So we have talked about playing with your friends. Obviously, you can play solo, but then there's the usual things that you have in games, groups, guilds. Maybe Leo can talk a little bit about what kind of options are there to play with your friends besides visiting like their server.
Yeah, so let's start with groups. So we saw that a bit earlier in the previous segments, right, with group combat. So groups are temporary social structures of up to 4 people. And they come with some benefits like seeing your group member status on the HUD. You see them as markers on the map.
Groups with benefits, huh?
Yeah.
Groups with benefits.
Love those. Love those.
The best
Convenient, right? So, and then you have standard features like chat connected to that as well. And yeah, makes it more convenient to game with your friends.
Wow, Leo, could you go deeper into chat?
Deeper into chat, yes. So this is a groundbreaking feature that we've developed, right? Never seen before in online games.
I think more importantly, a more important question, but thank you, Joel.
Sorry.
Like, how many people can be in a group?
Oh, 4.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. So the party
Including
leader
the
plus
leader.
3 additional ones, right?
Yeah,
Yes. Compared to guilds.
So guilds are more of long-term social structures, right? So you can be up to 32 players in a guild.
32 player guilds.
They're structured with hierarchies where you have one leader, any number of officers to help manage the guild, and then a roster of members as well.
IGN.
And guilds, they of course also have this groundbreaking chat feature like that we have.
What?
Yeah.
What?
And yeah, and both parties or groups and the guilds, they are across the world, right? So if you meet some people in the deep desert and you want to game together, you can do that. It doesn't matter if you're on different servers, still works fine. And yeah, something else you can also do with the guilds is that once you progress through individual faction alignment far enough, you can actually align your character to a specific faction, and as a continuation of that, you can pledge the allegiance of your guild to one of the major houses. So either
now, Leo, you like to be an Atreides, but I like to be a Harkonnen. And if we're in a guild together, and you pledge allegiance to the Atreides Lord, what's going to happen to me?
You're going to get booted right out of it.
You can make a guild with me. I'm Harkonnen too, so
nice,
it's fine.
Nice,
yeah,
hardcore Harkonnen. We have to shave our heads, but we're good.
Yeah,
we're good.
Yeah,
totally
don't
fine.
allow mixed guilds.
Totally okay. No mixed guilds.
No house mixing in this game.
Yeah.
We talked about chat. When you talk about chat, you mean actually text chat. However, we do actually have proximity chat as well.
We do have proximity voice chat as well.
Voice chat, yes.
Common feature of survival games.
Off by default, so that you don't have to be annoyed by that person running past swearing.
But what is it? Anyway,
you
I
can
think
turn
it's
it
fun.
on.
I think
yeah, voice proximity is fun. You just
fun.
we gotta protect the people's ears.
I know. No, I mean it's good that you can choose. Some people don't like it. Some people enjoy it. So you can choose. But what we also see there is edit permission. So when we talk about guilds, we do actually have a whole permission system in the game for a whole lot of things, right? Like, tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, is there like a guild base?
Survival games commonly have this type of bases, right, that you can build in the world, and we have that as well. And we have a longer term persistence than most survival games. So we needed some robust way of sharing access to certain type of assets in the game, right? Like bases, but also vehicles. So here we also have this hierarchical type of system similar to what we have in guilds. So here you can see on screen now for vehicles, for example, where you can add your friends to a list, which gives them some type of access depending on what you want to promote them to. So they can be associates or they can be co-owners. So it's the same system for bases and vehicles. And the way each rank works is that it comes with a certain specific rights. So, for example, for removing the sub-thief console here that you see, you require owner level permission. So only the owner of the sub-thief can do that.
So make sure you give.
You don't want anyone else doing.
No, you make sure you give the right permissions to again the friends that you can actually trust.
Yeah, you want to be careful. And then we also have this additional level that you can control the specific access level required for each object in your base. So take a door, for example. If you want to set that to only be accessible by you as an owner, you can do that. If you want to set it to be accessible by co-owners or associates, you can do that. But then we also have 2 additional levels. So you can set a door or machine or anything like that to be accessible by any guild member or also by the public. If you want to be nice to the travelers or that are coming by, give them some shelter.
We actually have seen that in the beta. We have like several beta players who just build bases and then open it up to everyone, especially like at the beginning to new players. So they can come in, they can get some water, they can get some basic resources and just, you can do that. You can be a nice guy or a nice
or you can
girl
trap
or a
them
nice
and
person.
kill them. That's also an
I mean, that's the other thing. Like, depending on.
Could you walk us through how the permission system works for the erotic role-playing crowd?
For that,
Okay,
yeah, that's another stream, I think.
Okay, let's go. So when we go into all this level of control that you have over
this guy is a troll, bro.
It can be a little bit like
this guy is
intimidating
a
almost
troll.
if you go intimidating. You know what is it now?
I know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you're intimidating. I get it. You scare me.
I'm intimidated.
Shoulders down.
So it can be a little bit intimidating because it feels like a lot of work, but there's actually a more streamlined option that you can do as well, and it makes it a bit more easier to set all these permissions.
Yeah, so we have a lot of assets tied to Joel's scenario here that he painted, and you want to give. Yeah, exactly. So if you want to give access to a lot of bases and vehicles,
bro, these dudes are freaks, bro. What?
You can open the profile for a friend, for example, that you want to give access to a lot of assets. And it's a simple list where you can click, okay, I want to give this person access to that base, that base, that base, and these 3 vehicles, and it's done from a distance. So it's very convenient to set up.
Absolutely. Cool. I think this is actually. Oh no, we have actually one last thing. We have a little overview visual that shows where in the world we have our
Our
worlds.
server servers at launch across the world, so people can see Australians being given server ping because they don't ping for that. They can talk because they're South African and they speak Afrikaans. They can connect quickly to South America. It's fine. It's fine. That's usually the best ping for them.
Perfect. Okay, but you'll see we'll have tons of options for you to choose from to make sure you have
Okay.
Thank you so much.
I don't know how
for
much
your
the server stuff is like super important to me,
Actually,
especially the guild stuff. Cause I don't know how much I'm gonna delve into that. I mean, if me and my friend end up playing, we might make a guild together, or we might just join like a common guild, but we might end up just making one, just to make it simpler for like permissions and teaming up and whatnot.
For our Q or to answer your questions, which is not cause for any June. Just because. Additionally, we also will have the opportunity to actually try out the game for them to be able to stream you. Actually, I have a question for you too. Like, what is your favorite thing in the game to do when you actually play? When you look at it as a do that and
Me, I love the fact that the game is so much more than one thing. We harvest things and that shooting enemy.
Yeah, so I actually started a new playthrough last week, playing quite a bit, and what I'm really enjoying now is setting up my base production facilities and the related mining activities.
Both the combat aspect, that is things as
progression on how to work and be, like you said, like sand-like and everything. But hopefully you'll be playing this game for thousands of hours and having something that is that intense, all the combat, go with your buggy and
what's the next tech that I want to get to, right? Okay, what do I need for that? I hope in my bike.
This is kind of part of the experience, the Dune Awakening experience.
I got my lesson.
But I think we're actually ready for the questions. Another thing I just wanted to mention before we go into questions is like what I really love is the weird things that can happen. Like we saw that, like actually you posted that, I think, where you were driving through the desert. You were looking for the worm, and there was like a crash, like one of the dynamic ships that can crash and like crash down onto the surface, crashed like literally like 2 meters next to you, and you had no idea that was coming down. That was just like it's moments like this that I find incredibly engaging and fun, like these type of things that can happen. Anyway, so we are ready. Can the player select which siege they got to connect to as their home dimension, or it's randomly assigned?
Yeah, so you get to choose your worlds, and in that world there are many servers which are the sieges, and you can pick the siege that you actually want to connect to. So you don't have to do it in any order, and you don't, and it's not randomly assigned.
Right, and you can talk to your friends again, like to make sure they're on the same siege for that,
yeah,
or at least in the same world as well, because then you can still visit and all that.
Yeah, you want to align on that before you start, so you pick the right one.
Yes, for sure.
So once human kind of did that, and
beforehand if I do. CF Olsen. If you already align to one house, can you later change it to align with the same house as the guild is? So basically, if you can change, right? If your guild is another alignment.
Yeah, you can. You can betray your house,
but only once.
Once. They won't take that lightly, so you better think about this really carefully. Like before aligning first.
Yeah, it's frowned upon.
Yep. Okay. They don't like that very much. P-Dragon76 asks, can you progress far without PvP, or is this game mainly going to be around PvP?
So you can play in the survival area, the survival game map that we have, which is 8 by 8 kilometers, and you don't have to PvP at all in that. Now, going to the deep desert, you don't have to PvP. It's just that you run the risk of PvP. And as what I talked about earlier is that we have all these tools where you can quickly get away. So the goal was that people who don't want to PvP may still go there for the loot, but be on the lookout for enemies coming, and then just drive away really fast, or you using your ornithopter as you would to get away, or if you get jumped, use your abilities to get away. So we didn't want to have people be ganked very early on, and we thought that, well, at this point you played the game for 100 hours, so you probably know your way around the disruptor, right? So when you get there, people who will PvP you, but they will actually meet people who know how to play the game. So that was the goal. Now, not everyone is going to love that, but like PvP, but you can then run away as
decide to opt into PvP, you actually put yourself under higher risk than someone that says, I'm only going to play PvE in the game. And also, we haven't actually talked about the end game and the launch route system, which does have PvP, but you can actually also influence that with PvE as well. So it's not all PvP at all. So there's a lot of options for PvE players as well.
Yeah, definitely. You can play the game for hundreds, thousands of hours without engaging in PvP easily.
Unpaid Taxi, is that the name? That is the name, that's fantastic, love it. Unpaid Taxi asks, is the slow blade automatic?
So we have two main attacks for the blade, like the basic ones, if you don't have any skills or abilities associated with it. So we have the quick attack, and then we call it the stab, even though it's with swords and everything you can do the slow blade there. So you can do the quick attack, which is effective to stagger enemies, so you get time to actually deliver the slow blade. Now, if you use the slow blade on an unshielded enemy, you will have a quick in, and then no, I'm going to lose the thread here. It works differently. So basically, the slow blade is automatic in the sense that it will trigger if you do a stab, so to speak. I guess
basically, it's a special. You do it as a special attack, so it's a special. Like you hold your mouse button basically longer. You just click it, so it is a special trigger, and then the animation will play itself out. But it doesn't automatically happen. You have to trigger it actively.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you look for opportunity, right? And there, I can get the timing and right. Okay, now I hold, and now I get the. This long way. Yeah,
and also it takes quite a long time to actually execute a slow blade because it's called slow blade. So you have to make sure your enemy is either staggered or they.
And explain what I tried to say earlier. Yeah, akin to an unshielded enemy.
So slow blade, not a
shield.
I really need glasses. I think, or better, Sorvina Savage.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorvina Savage. I also I'm. To my defense, I'm actually also sitting further away than Leo, for example. It's like a really nice angle to the questions. But
I'm cheating a bit over here.
Do you lose durability on melee weapons? Do you lose more durability on melee weapons than range to offset ammunition use of ranged weapons? That's a good question.
That's extremely detailed. I don't have the answer for that. And as we balance things, that might go up and down. I don't have the exact numbers.
The numbers.
I don't think it's a major concern, at least the difference, right?
No. I'm always fairly cheap, so you will loot some of it, and the rest you will just pull out your cut array, harvest a couple of scrap metal piles, and then you have plenty so that you can quickly craft them on your person. So it's pretty trivial.
It's not actually a resource that's very important compared to like stamina, ability cooldowns, and other things, right?
Yeah.
In the context of things. Black Lion Apps is asking, can I swap active skills during combat?
So you can swap your skills. However, if they're on a cooldown, you'll not be allowed to swap them.
Okay. Tyler, that's easy for once. Tyler's asking, can you learn all skills available in the game? So Master Trooper, so on.
You cannot actually. You can go pretty far down in several of them, or you can go to the end of a few of them, but you won't be able to get all the skills from all the trees.
Yeah, we actually had that at one point that we were able to get everything, but then we made it much more interesting also with the I call them cornerstones, but the capstone skills. Yeah, so you actually will have to make decisions in terms of where do you spend your points. I personally really like that. I think it's more interesting as well. That's Serena Savage again. Will NPCs pick targets based on threats, closest player, or use tactics?
Again, that's also quite specific. At least Alex was here. So they're like with these things. There's always a combination, and you weight things. So it's like, well, someone might have a higher threat at a longer distance. Who do you deal with? So we have weighted this. So it's like it should feel natural, the way that it works. But again, I don't have the exact numbers for how that's balanced.
The thing is, I actually asked Alex that question, I think yesterday during one of our chats as well, and he said what you just said too, though. Like, the NPCs are actually taking several aspects into consideration. How far is that player away? How much damage? How big of a threat is that character? Like, what kind of abilities did they use previously and all that? So there's quite of a complex mechanic behind how NPCs will react to you.
They do have tactics, so they change how they play depending on if it's one of them, obviously, and if there's more of them, and depending on difficulty, we'll scale it so that the second NPC might not be as aggressive in the early game as they would be in the later game, for instance.
Armored Scooter. Armored Scooter is asking, will soda cars be killable, or are they meant to be the ultimate enemy?
So we have the Sardaukar dropships, but Chom mercenaries drop from them. So you will kill them, but they are not proper Sardaukar.
You're just not important enough early on, specifically, that they would deal with you.
If you kill Sardaukar, that would be part of. It's not the normal approach.
Don't spoil anything.
Yeah, exactly. You won't.
Maybe you'll have to find out.
They're not part of the normal NPC roster, so to speak.
Okay.
Mac Wolverson asks, are there any hunter seekers in the game to use?
Indeed, they are the last ability in one of the trees.
Yes, we actually.
But I'm not going to.
No, we don't do that. But we've actually shown the hunter seeker in.
Not going to.
No.
Or the last ability in one of the trees.
Yes,
we actually. But I'm not going to.
No, we don't do that. But we've actually shown the hunter seeker in a few gameplay or in like early videos.
Yeah.
We haven't shown the hunter seeker today in the combat sections. Actually, we used other abilities, but it's absolutely.
We used its sibling, the assault seeker.
Yes, exactly. The one you saw, the ability that Alex in his solo gameplay was like throwing.
But yes, we do have the hunter seeker.
Wonder Arrakis is asking, can you extract blood from enemies like they do in the movies?
Yes, you can indeed. It's you will be doing that a lot as you build your base, and you refine blood to actually use as water for things that you craft and also for hydration.
You kind of start with a rusty needle and the bag at the beginning, and then you kind of
all the way.
As you learn more secrets to the desert, you might also learn a few more.
You can even drink blood.
Yes.
It will hydrate you, but there are some side effects.
Yeah, it's not super advised, but you can go. You can also, what I personally hate, you can also use Muad'Dibs and drink a little bit.
This is true. You can you can harvest the Muad'Dibs as well.
You do what
Not
you
okay.
have to do.
Slucker. Can you attack players of your same faction?
Yes, you can. So what I think I mentioned earlier is that in a group, you won't do damage much to your friends in your group, but the people in your guild who may be attached to a faction, you can damage them when you're in a PvP area.
All right, that was it for today. Vilja and Leo, again, thank you so much for your time and for sitting down with us to chat about Dune Awakening. Super exciting. Thanks for answering questions. Thanks for talking about your segments as well. And thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for putting up with our little hiccups here and there. We'll improve over time. Those are
okay. Well, overall, that's Dune Awakening. June... What did they say? June... forgot the date. Oh wait, hang on. I think I'm right here, maybe. June 10th. It's Dune Awakening, pushback June 10th, which, fine, whatever, couple weeks, not a big deal. Especially if it helps some polish. Like I said, I'm excited for the game in general. But I think the biggest thing for me, one is the 50, right? Like obviously, like it's $50. You gotta buy it, up front, and then hope that like the game is good long term, and that they don't completely ruin it with like, pay to win or all this other stuff. But I guess technically long term, let's just say like it was a subscription service MMO where it's like $10, every month, $12. You're getting like 5-6 months out of it, and then you're good, and then you can keep playing it. So, I wouldn't say it's the worst, but it is a lot to shell out at one time for an MMO that live service. We know how those tend to be nowadays. So I'm definitely like still kind of, I need to see more. I'm really hoping to kind of get into the beta. I think that would help me personally solidify a little bit of my thoughts on the game, especially co-op. Like I need, that for me is important. Like if I have a friend that's gonna play it, that'll help me a lot get through it. But overall, like it looks cool. Like it definitely looks fun. It looks interesting. It definitely looks like they're taking the Dune part of the game, like the actual lore and visuals and everything, like very seriously. So like that's cool that this is like, an officially launched Dune, universe game. I just, like I said, it's an MMO, and those tend to not be my go-to cup of teas. So we'll see. Like I said, hopefully the beta gives me a little bit of clarity if I can get in. I don't know if they're going to do it open or if they're going to do it, like closed beta, but with more invitations, being sent out. We'll see. But either way, I'm excited. I think overall looks cool. I just need to see more before I drop that 50. So I also need to do the character creator just in case I get it, so I can get that that like knife thing, and also I think you get a Medivh, like not aquarium, but like a what's it called? Like a livarium, something like that. I don't know. It's like I guess you could just get like a Medivh like pet. He just sits in his little like cage or whatever, I think. But I think through the character creator you get the like the sword, like the like sword variant. Excuse me, goddamn. The knife like skin. I think it's just a skin. I don't think it's like a completely different knife. I think it's just a skin. But either way, let me know what you guys think. I know it was a long video. I do apologize, but there was quite a lot that they talked about, and I really wanted to kind of make sure that I didn't miss out on too much. Like I know I skipped a lot, but I tried to kind of make sure I wasn't like missing anything like super important that really needed to be said or heard. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys are excited. If you're not, what do you think of Dune in general? And I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay cool, stay safe, and peace out.